Alright, y'all, welcome back. This should be part 3 and hopefully the last part of this game. My name's Bati. We're reviewing a game from Final Table Fridays from this last weekend, the 11th of February, I believe. We're down to 6-handed. Antes are up to 28. If we take a look at our gold stacks over here on the right, we have 3 players in the danger zone of less than 10 bets. Vendettius at about 9. Beaver Teaser chilling at like 6, 7. Kal-El with less than a bet left. Goldie and Pokemon sitting pretty up top. Goldie with plenty of chips. Pokemon down to about 20 bets, a little bit less. Royal Ace hanging around at like 13, 14. Let's see what happens. Kal-El definitely needs to make a play here. Needs to get some double ups. Let's go. Kal-El all in this hand. Only 5 infestors. Not a good spot. So let's take a second to look at this situation here. The fact that we have Kal-El already all in here means that everybody's going to have to play this pot differently. We already have one player forced all in. Let's take, for example, Beaver Teaser. 18 Vikings. Great 1v1 hand. You also have to take into account that if you raise here to open the pot, you already have one player all in. 4 other players could come along. You don't know what Kal-El has. You have no reads on Kal-El. It is literally a randomly dealt hand. If he draws something that can significantly split your Vikings, now you're giving Goldie you're giving Kal-El a chance of tripling up. If he draws something strong and you get it down to just a 3 of y'all, I'm sorry, not tripling up. He would sextuple up. So unless you have a super strong, super resilient hand that can handle like good multi-ways, still come out on top, not chop the pot, stuff like that, it is probably in everybody's best interest to go ahead and check this hand down. Now, is it legal in a tournament format to say, hey, everybody, let's check this down and knock out Kal-El? Hell no, you cannot say that. But there is sort of an agreement at the table when one player in a tournament situation is all in. Unless you have a really, really, really strong reason to bet into that dry side pot, don't do it. Just let us knock that player out, move everybody else one spot up the ladder. Don't overcomplicate the hand. In this situation, I don't think anybody has a starting hand that strong to really suggest making that play. I think there should just be a check it down, let everybody go, hope that Kal-El doesn't come out on top. As we move to our second card, I mean, Royal Ace has a strong 19 Ghost, but you're only playing Ghost there. Vendettius has a reasonably strong hand, but that's a good multi-way hand, so he's also invested in just trying to keep as many people in the pot as he can. Nobody else has a whole lot. They should really just go check it down again. Just try to knock out Kal-El. Vendettius does raise. I don't like this play. You have 2 units that work so well multi-way. You shouldn't be raising trying to get people out of the pot, especially with Kal-El already at risk. Royal Ace, you're only playing Ghosts. Not a good call. If anything, you want to raise. Maybe try to make it look like you're isolating DTs or something like that. In which case, you definitely counter. But just playing a naked 19 Ghosts to a raise like this, like just calling, is not what's going to win you money in the long run. Pokemon does have about the only hand I would consider calling here. Those Disruptors definitely going to stay alive. They're going to run away a lot. I would honestly put the Disruptors in front, put the Cyclones in back. Let the Cyclones try to get a little extra DPS in before they get blasted away. Because we've touched on this before. Even if you put the Disruptors in front, as soon as they start taking damage, they're going to run away, and they'll be safe. Kal-El gets the bad news. Sorry, buddy, your time is done. EMP's going off all over the place. Unfortunately, it's not enough. Ghosts go down very quickly to the Disruptors. Disruptors now turning on the Thors. Then Daddy is just ripping through everything. I don't know if those Tempests are going to be enough DPS to finish off. I guess they are. Good job. So Vindy does successfully take down some extra chips in that all-in pot. That's not a play I would highly recommend, but he made it work this time. So as we talked about in the last video, we are now down to 5 players, so everybody's going to open up a little bit more than they already have, play a few more hands. Goldie in first position with 12 lurkers, not terrible, but you are in first position. Even with only 5 players, I'm probably not betting this out more than like 20% of the time. Beaver Teaser in another awkward situation. He is in next to last position. But only 7 Ravens are not a huge amount to carry with. They're going to be more supplementary DPS. Oh goodness, I am tired today. If Goldie doesn't open, I don't mind it open from Beaver Teaser. Actually, he's so short, I think I would love a shove from him. It's minuscule, but in this game, even one blocker counts for something. And since your blocker is an S-class unit, the fact it's in your hand and not somebody else's is that much stronger for there to be a chance for you to get away with a shove. So if it checks around, I think Beaver Teaser shoves here. Man. I can't see it going any other way. I don't think anybody else is going to put money in the pot before him. Check, check, check. This should be the shove. And he checks. I don't like that at all. Alright. Goldie picks up a really strong 6 Thors to go with the lurkers. Gives you a little bit of air coverage, some long distance damage. This is a really strong hand right here, Lurker Thor. I like that a lot. Royle is picking up the 15 tanks. Decent, but again, his hand can't hit anything in the air, so we have to be cautious at this stage of the game. Beaver Teaser, 12 roaches can distract for the Ravens. That's about all they can do. With him being this short, if it checks back around, he still needs to go all in. Like, you need to take down the antes, or you need to more than double up this hand. And I think this is your best chance to do so. Alright, now Beaver Teaser has to let this go. 7 Ravens is not winning a 4-way pot at all. Ever. Ever. Good fold. It was a strong hand by Goldie. Those tanks are going to wreck the Thors. But here come the Tempests. I don't think the Tempests are going to finish them in time. We're going to have a split pot. Ten seconds left. Maybe the tanks are going to survive. That's a lot of wasted shots by the Tempest stacking up on a target that's already dead. Oh, just barely. Nice. All right. Vendettius, first to act, 40 Marines. Terran 3-3. This is definitely a situation where I would check and then just start blasting when it comes back around. 40 Marines with 3-3 is huge. That's an insane amount of DPS to add on to anything that's a little bit tanky in front of you. Great start to a hand. Definitely start building a pot, especially since you're in second place. You have you want this to be the hand that potentially vaults you in, like, significantly into first place. Royal Ace can't really play the Reapers. Beaver Teaser, 9 Broods at this stage of the game, not bad. Against Terran 3-3, don't do it. You're going to worry a lot about Terran Air, especially like Liberator, well, not Air specifically, but like Liberator, Ghost, Marine, like we're up against. Uh, Even to an extent like Cyclones, they're going to have so much armor that the Broodlings from your Broodlords are not going to get significant DPS in. So you want to be a little careful playing those. And in this situation, like, man, he's so short stacked. I mean, if you're going to play this hand, it is all in. I feel like what's going to happen here is Vendettius is going to lead out and Beaver Tees are just going to be forced to fold. Goldie and Pokemon should definitely come along with a 3-3 on the board, even with not great unit counts. Now that we're down to 5-handed, I think those are strong enough cards to see a second card with. Vendettius, I feel like, is so strong. He's been playing so aggressive. This is a great spot to lead out. Even with the men bet, I'm okay with that here. Beaver Teaser should fold. And then Pokemon, Goldie should come along. All right, perfect. 12 Adepts, not really what you want to draw, but it's a start. Unfortunately, against Colossus Tank, you're kind of screwed, but we'll see here. So we have this kind of weird situation here. I think Vendettius can beat Pokemon. Pokemon's going to beat Goldie. Goldie's going to beat Vendettius. So this is going to be really interesting to see how this goes down. There is a chance that Pokemon is going to beat Vendettius as well. Depends on how the Marines play out. With the cloak from the Banshee. Let's see what Vendettius does. We'll go from there. Okay, 96 into like 260. About 2.7 to 1. Not bad. 2.6, 2.7. Pokemon, you can only hit ground. That's twice now that Vendettius is raised. You have to believe there's some kind of air in there. I think the correct play for Pokemon here is to fold, even though you're getting fairly good odds. And that should... This is a difficult spot. I think you just both have to lay it down to Vendettius here. Even though he's been playing so aggressive, the second bet is definitely showing some strength. Let's see what happens. This is a really good bet if they both fold. Goldie, of course, we know beats Vendettius, but you have to understand, like we were just talking about, Vendettius with the double raise, that's signaling some kind of air. So many of the good strong hands in this game consist of at least one air unit. If you can't hit air at this stage of the game and somebody's playing that aggressively and you don't have reason to believe that they're just bullshitting you, you have to kind of respect that. Across the two bets, the way that they were sized, the way that Vendettius has been playing, he's been aggressive but not that aggressive. That's a really difficult spot to be put in. I think Goldie and Pokemon made the right play based on the information they had. Obviously, we knew Goldie would have crushed Vendettius, but I think given the information Goldie had, she played the best way she could. All right. Vendettius in a great position here. 12 Archons, perfect draw, last position. Royal Ace, can't pick him up. Beaver Teaser, those Stalkers don't stand a chance. DTs are really the only thing that Vendettius is worried about right now, and there's only 3 of them, so they may fold. Goldie, 11 Ravagers, not a big deal. Vendettius should be in control here, unless Pokemon decides to get a little spazzy with 3 DTs. So Vendettius should be able to open here. Yep. Royal Ace does make the call. I'm not a big fan of it with 13 Phoenix. Even like only 5-handed, I'd say you want at least like 17. Or at least like a Protoss 1-1 or 2-2 on the board. Goldie comes along as well. This is a perfect draw for Royal Ace, obviously. Picking up 8 battle cruisers. You can't wish for anything more than that. First to act, though, it's going to be a little tough. I would, once again, as usual, recommend checking to the Razor, let Vendettius blast away at it, and then deciding what to do from there. Goldie did not pick up anything strong enough to really consider continuing in this hand. Vendettius, again, Hellions, not what you want to draw with the Archons. You're playing just Archons at this point. Royal Ace is definitely in control. Let's see what he wants to do. All in. Okay. That's about the right pot size to do it at, yeah. Goldie folds. Vendettius should fold. Oh, he calls. Wow. Well, we don't have to worry about the Phoenix doing anything to the Archons, but those battle cruisers with the Yamatos might be more of a different story. Boom, boom, boom. Lots of DPS going down. And the Archons say bye-bye. Royal Ace back in it. Beaver Teaser still at like 2.5 bets. Alright. So, Royal Ace in a really good position. He just showed down a pretty strong hand. Went all in with it. Played it aggressively. Now he just got dealt a really strong hand again. What do you do in this situation? You absolutely bet the crap out of it again. How often is it that you really get 2 good cards back to back and play it that way and not have somebody think, oh, he just won a good hand. I bet he's just trying to throw his big stack around now. There's no way he has a good hand again. Play it the same way. Play it aggressively. Get chips in the pot. Make people think you're just making a play for it. You're going to get paid off more often than not. He is in last position. Let's see what happens before that. Goldie does have the 10 Archons, so that's playable. Especially with Protoss 1-1 on the board. Goldie does raise the Archons. Royal Ace has a choice here to call or raise. We're not that deep stacked. I wouldn't mind a re-raise here to like 200. Calling is also fine. I think being in position, I would lean more towards a call here, so I do like this. But do understand that some percentage of the time, you should go ahead and raise this on your first card. Go ahead and build a bigger pot so you can set yourself up to all in on the second card if you're still confident. Pokemon should take this opportunity to get out. Alright, so we are now heads up. Banshees, usually pretty good in this situation. You're heads up, put them in front, they can wipe out any ground. Of course, we know Royal Ace does not have any ground. Those Mutalisks are going to die to the Archons, no doubt, but it doesn't matter. We have 17 Ravens in back. There's literally nothing we're worried about. Those Ravens are going to shut down the Archons with the Interference Matrix. We're going to have an easy win here. We are last to act, so we're going to get to see what Goldie does here. No matter what, we're putting more chips in the pot. If Goldie raises, we're all in. If Goldie checks, we're going to bet probably about half to 2/3 pot. So let's bump this up, like I said, first hand to like 200. 180 maybe. That is not enough. That is not enough. You're taking the pot down regardless. That's nice, but you should have made more on the bet. Always remember you want to size your bets in relation to the size of the pot. The bigger the pot, the bigger your bets should be. Alright, so 2 hands right off the bat. We have no upgrades on the board. Let's start here. Beaver Teaser is all in. We talked about this before. He is all in with almost a full bet, so, I mean, he's still going to get paid off if he wins the hand. But, again, there's no further action. He is forced to be in the final showdown. Whatever he has is going to affect us if we're in the showdown as well. Pokemon does have 17 Vikings. Again, this is a similar situation to the last time we had the all-in with Kal-El. If those Vikings split, it's bad news. And if we're only, like, at least we're drawing for a full bet, but if we raise, we're still not getting full value out of everybody else that calls because Beaver Teaser can't call anymore. So I think this is going to be a situation where everybody needs to check it down. Just try to knock out Beaver Teaser, continue play as normal the next hand. Royal Ace with the 16 Cyclones, again, still just not strong enough to warrant raising into that dry side pot. This really should just go check all around. This was not... Okay, so this is an isolation raise from Pokemon. It's gonna work It's gonna work this time. I make this play a pretty decent amount too. I don't like doing it all in. I understand why he's doing it all in. If you raise less, you're leaving yourself with not much left to play behind anyway. You want to get all that fold equity from the shove. Like, obviously, there's a psychological element of going all in versus leaving yourself chips behind. But this is an awfully big isolation raise and a lot of chips to risk for not a great hand. And in particular, like we said, if those Vikings do get called by a third spot and they have to go three-handed between Pokemon, Beaver Teaser, and the third player, it's that much more likely for your Vikings to be split and get shot down and you lose that investment. So I understand what the play is. It should work here. I'm not sure how much I like it in the context of how much your stack is. I think if you had like twice the chip stack and you raised a little bit less, that would constitute a great isolation raise. As it is, man, I don't know. But it's going to work. Beaver Teaser is going to be up against 17 Vikings, 11 wild cards. Should be an easy win for Pokemon. And we're down to four-handed. So I want to take a second to look at the chip stacks again. Let's see if we get a... No anti-raise. So antis are now at 36. Let's look at how compressed the list now was. The last time we looked at the tier or the chip list, like, first place had like 50-something bets. Sixth place had like 8, 7, something around there, right? Now we have Pokemon barely above 10 bets, and then we have Royal Ace not even at 20. So as the antes continue, like, this is why it's so important to play those early chip stacks aggressively, the early blind levels aggressively, and build up your chip stacks as these antes go up. The antes go up extremely aggressively in Battle Poker. Like, they are super, super aggressive. This game ends very quick. You don't get a lot of time to, like, sit back and read your opponents and set up bluffs and this, that, and the other. You have to play a lot of just what you're dealt the best way that you can. And the best way to do that is to have options. And to have options, you need to have chips available. When you're down to, like, 3 or 4 bets, you have one play, all in. When you have 30 bets, you can bet, you can bluff, you can bet high, bet low, like, you can do all sorts of weird little plays, like, you have room to maneuver. As your chip stack goes lower, you're forced more and more into all-in with weaker and weaker units. You don't want to do that. So the more you can kind of push your way around and to steal pots that don't belong to you earlier on, with these smaller pots, they add up into a bigger advantage late game, and they give you more options when the pots are this much bigger and this much more important to win. You go in with like twice the chip stack of the other players. You can push them around. You can take risks that they can't. So this is why, like, everybody talks on or used to talk on the Discord about how, like, oh, sitting out is cheating. You can just fold your way into the money. Doesn't really work like that when it's deep stacked like this, and it definitely doesn't work at high ELOs. Anyway, back to the action. We are at four-handed. Goldie, first to act, perfect 25 DTs. This is about where I would start opening under the gun. You have a particularly strong hand. There's already 144 chips in the pot. You only have 3 other people to worry about. This would be a strong opening hand, and I think you should go ahead, pop it up to like 100, give or take. 122 or whatever it is. 108, that's it. Can't do math in my head. Pokemon should not be interested in this hand. Not with the Swarm Hosts. Especially not as short stacked as he is. There he goes. Alright. This is going to be another interesting spot. Royal Ace with a good count of Widow Mines, but I mean, like, it's really hard to play Widow Mines without a read. He's second to act. We're at a short-handed table. It's going to be really tough to play that hand from where he's at. Goldie, decent start. 11 tanks. Definitely a good start to a hand four-handed. Pokemon with 3 Ravens, that's just not enough to do anything. Not even in the support role. I think he's going to have to let this go. Vendettius, obviously only the one lurker. You're not opening that. You're not calling that. It's going to be a fold as soon as somebody bets. Pokemon decides to raise anyway. That might be enough to fold everybody out. Okay. This is definitely the part of the game where, like, bluffing becomes a lot easier, therefore it becomes a lot more prevalent. When you're only having to fold out 3 other people versus 7 other people, it's a lot easier to get a bluff through. In that situation, he probably thought he was semi-bluffing. I would say it was a straight bluff. 3 Ravens is not going to kill much of anything. I don't know. I don't like the play. I'm glad it worked. If you were bluffing with it, then yes, that was a good play. But I feel like Pokemon was looking for value there, and that's not what you want. This hand, Vendettius, great position, 17 Corruptors. Nobody else can really stand up to him. He's only really worried about Goldie's Archons, which are probably not going to call. It should go check, 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 bet, fold, fold, fold. So Vendettius hides the strength of his hand and checks, hoping that... Okay, so here's my read on the situation. Obviously, Vendettius can only hit air with the Corruptors. If nobody here raises, especially in four-handed, usually almost any air is strong enough to raise, just because it's that much more survivable. So he probably has the read that if nobody raised here, nobody has air yet. So let's wait to get value, give everybody a second card, give them a chance to bet, and then go for the shot. As it is, he picked up Roaches. It does give him the suited 1/1 bonus. Roaches are not great, but they are at least a ground presence. Unfortunately, he is going up against the Liberators here. Shouldn't be too... That is a lot of Liberators. I don't know. That might be enough to take down the Corruptors. The Battle Cruiser here, inconsequential. The Archon's pretty inconsequential. I think whoever wins this matchup here wins the pot. Betting wise, Royal Ace definitely needs to put some money in here. Vendetti should probably call. I don't think these two belong in the pot. Royal Ace does make the raise. Should be fold fold. Vendetti's comes along with the Corruptors. Yep. See, here's the thing with Liberator versus Corruptor. The Corruptors have so much armor. 3 armor versus 5 damage twice. So the Liberator's only doing 4 damage per volley at the Corruptors. It is splash damage, so a lot of these are going to go down quick. But the Liberators are slowly losing damage here. That's not going to be enough. Liberator should come out on top. Maybe. They're not doing much splash anymore. 3 separate targets, too. 1 left. 10 seconds to go. Oh, is they going to siege in time? Wow, so close. All right. Vendetti is probably going to get a little froggy with 50 Reapers. Don't forget the Reapers do have that KD8 charge. They can be used to disrupt enemies' DPS lines. If enemies are getting bounced all over the place from those mines, they're not doing damage. So that's pretty decent. 25 Hellions, no, we're not going to talk about that. 13 tanks, definitely playable from Pokemon. I would like to see it check around to Pokemon. I think Vendettius is going to get a little froggy and bet something here, but let's see. He does check. Okay, so we get a second card. Royal Ace, obviously not in the hand. Goldie, not in the hand. This is a little bit of a difficult situation for both Pokemon and Vendettius. Neither of them have air units. Neither of them can hit air units. Vendettius has an incredible strong ground presence. Those Ultras are going to tank. Those Reapers are going to do a ton of damage. Pokemon, tons of damage from those siege tanks, but he has nothing really to protect him with. The 10 queens are inconsequential. They're so slow, even if you put them in front, they're not going to do anything. They're just going to get in the way of the tanks getting a clean siege line. They obviously can't heal the tanks because the tanks aren't bio. This is a difficult spot for Pokemon. I think Vendettius wins. I don't think either of them are going to have the stones to really make a raise here. If they do, I don't think the other one can call. I think it's going to go fold. Pokemon does make the raise with his tanks. I'd love to see Vendettius see if he can call here. He does. Very nice call. So you can see here the queens are so slow in front. They're just kind of getting in the way of the tanks, like splitting up effectively. They're going to do some damage here, but these ultras are going to take all the tank shots, letting the Reapers get in to do some damage. Now the tanks going in on the Reapers are going to disappear quick. One ultra is still left alive to do some splash. That's going to be it for the tanks. Pokemon back under 10 bets now. Once again, Pokemon and Royal Ace in a pretty good position here. Pokemon last to act with 13 Oracles. Definitely more playable four-handed than they were 6 or 7-handed. Royal Ace with half a dozen Void Rays. Protoss 2-2 on the board. That is definitely something playable four-handed. Vendettius and Goldie, not really a high enough count or a good enough unit to really get involved. Especially with Goldie down to under 10 bets now. Vendettius hovering around like 12, 13. This isn't quite the situation where I would play around with my chips with nothing in my hand. Should go check, check. Possibly a raise, should raise. Royal Ace does raise. I'd like to see Pokemon call this. And he folds. Alright. Royal Ace this time with 11 DTs, second to act, not bad. With only 3 players in the pot, this should definitely be a raise. Goldie, 18 Mutalisk, definitely playable, especially with Zerg 3 on the board. I'd like to see a call there. I don't think Pokemon and Vendettius are going to get involved. Let's see Royal Ace pop it up to like 156. Yeah, 104. Should be a fold. And should be a call. Alright. This is interesting. So Goldie now has 4-4. That's huge. For both Queens and Mutas, they react very well to upgrades. Queens are in front. That's great. They're going to need that little bit extra boost to get into the fight faster. Royal Ace, of course, is going to clear anything on the ground as there's no detector. Mutas are going to be able to finish off the Swarm Host, no problem. It's going to be a split pot. However, Royal Ace has to be careful here. He does make that raise to 104. It's not a very huge bet. You could easily make this call getting those odds with, like, Banelings, Ghosts, Disruptors, Infestors, like things you wouldn't normally play that do counter DTs. Royal Ace really should have, especially being in first place on the leaderboard, should be betting more like 200 to 300 here to discourage Goldie from calling with some of those not as powerful counters to DTs. Goldie should find an easy call here, if not a raise. Okay, call. And we're going to have a split pot. Look at that, 4-4, 13 damage a shot plus splash damage. Wow. Alright. Antes are up to 60. Pokemon basically has 2 bets left, so we need to keep an eye on him. He does have 10 Archons. Protoss 2-2. This is absolutely an all-in from second position. I mean, if you're not shoving here, what are you waiting for? You have upgrades, you have good count, they're a good tier unit, they counter a lot of things, they're very tanky, they do some splash damage, they synergize well with other units. Doesn't matter that you don't have your second card yet, go all in. Goldie, probably not playable with the 12 Ravagers to an all-in. Vendettius, how big's the all-in? 131 on top. That would leave him with like 420, 430. It's playable. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm fine with a call. I'm fine with a fold. I'm probably more fine with a call knowing Pokemon's situation. With him being so short stacked, he's looking for something to go all in with. The fact that he just randomly rubbed back into Archons, which counter the Mutas, is kind of inconsequential. It sucks, but you have to make the play and move on. This should be the all-in. Yep. Goldie should fold. And of course, it goes without saying, Royal Ace should be folding this as well. Goldie calls. Okay, that changes things. Goldie calling absolutely means Vendettius folds. Goldie doesn't have a shot in hell here. 12 Ravagers, if you had more like, well, we are four-handed. I won't even say if you had higher count, but if it wasn't Protoss 2-2, if you had like Zerg 1-1-2-2, I'd be much more okay with this. But we're worried about those Protoss units. We're worried about Terran units. Ravagers just don't do all that well on their own. They need something to back them up. They're not very playable without it. I don't like this call, knowing that Pokemon, you're not getting the implied odds from Pokemon being all in. Goldie backs into 4 Battlecruisers. That could be enough to close it. That gamble every once in a while pays off, right? However, there is Protoss 2-2 still to worry about. That's 3 shields, 3 armor to chew through. Only doing 8 damage a shot. It's a lot of armor to get through. Don't think it's going to happen here. Yeah. Pokemon back in it. Let's go. Not a whole lot here this time. I'd like to see Vendettius aggressive again. He's been aggressive so far. You have an okay starting hand, just not great count. Let's put some chips in the pot, see what they do. Perfect. Should be folds all around. Oh, did I? Uh-oh. Okay. All right. So we went check with the Immortals and the Zealots. Royal Ace goes ahead and bets with the 4 altars with 2/2 on the board. Royal Ace in best like biggest chip stack right now. Definitely can afford to be a little more aggressive, put some pressure on. You just have to keep in mind Goldie's kind of with her back up against the wall. She only has 4 bets left. She's looking to get it all in, and you don't. I mean, she doesn't set a whole lot of traps, but it's definitely possible she's checking with the intent of going all in with a strong hand. Obviously not the case here. Royal Ace should take it down with this bet. However, this is kind of Royal Ace demonstrating when to semi-bluff. This is a great semi-bluff hand. You have something to fall back on here if you get called with the 4 altars with Zerg 2/2. A good second card can definitely save you. And it doesn't have to be like 25 Ravens. Like, you can draw something a little more reasonable, like 18 Corruptors, and have a good hand there. But yeah, like that's a good spot to semi-bluff. Take a shot at the pot. You have a little something to fall back on. You have a chance of drawing out. If you don't, you can fold without really feeling too bad about it. And, you know, worst case scenario, what just happened, everybody folds. You take down the 180 chips with, you know, little risk. Here we are, next hand. Vendettius first to act, only 2 tanks, not going to happen. Royal Ace, 7 Stalkers, no good. Pokemon, 2 Liberators, no thank you. Sucks for Goldie. 8 Battlecruisers, it's going to check around. She's going to bet, everyone's going to fold. still almost doubling her chip stack, though, with this one play, so that's not terrible. Just would have been nicer to get paid off. Alright, another decent hand here. Royal Ace up front with 10 Broodlords, playable with Zerg 2-2 with it only being 4-handed. He definitely has the chip stack for it. He can make a little bit of a play here, see what everybody else does. Pokemon, 2 carriers is a tough call to make. 4-handed, it starts to become playable, but it's not the carry that it normally is. Only 2 carriers is going to be supplementary DPS, a little bit extra tankiness in the back. You definitely need to draw a good hand up front to make it playable. Goldie getting out of the way with the Cyclones easily. Oracles here, definitely playable. They're a little bit... They're higher DPS than the Broodlords, even though they have to get more up in their face. They're also more susceptible to Ghost and High Templar. But they have the DPS to back it up, plus the added bonus of countering DTs. So, not a bad play. I'd like to see Royal Ace open it up, even though he's under the gun. Even just a min-raise at this point is fine. Vendettius probably should go ahead and play it. The other 2 should get out of the way. Fair enough. Royal Ace takes down another pot. Now we see the effect of what throwing around those chips as the big stack is doing. Royal Ace has very quietly crept up from 800 to 1,000, now to 1,200 chips. And those chips are all coming out of his opponent's chip stack. So they're all, like, all of his opponents are now down to under 10 bets. They're with their backs against the wall. They're looking for a spot to all in as aggressively as they can, either take down the Andes or get a chance of doubling up. Royal Ace is cruising. He's almost got 20 bets still in his stack. He can wait just a little bit, or he can keep putting pressure on and make them put their chip stacks all at risk for a decision. And he kind of just runs the table right now if he continues playing aggressively. Now, he does have Protoss 3-3 to run up against on this hand, but with the 6 Ultras, still absolutely playable. Plus, he's in last position. Goldie, probably the only one with a super playable hand here. I do love the Banelings from Pokemon, but being first to act, that's just not a comfortable position for Banelings to be played from. I think Goldie's going to raise, and Royal Ace, honestly, could just come over the top and shove all in. Alright, Pokemon playing this very aggressively. It might work this time. I don't like it. The reason I don't like it is that you still have 3 bets left after you fold this, and you become in last position for the next hand. It is a much better position for you to shove 3 bets from last position in a 4-handed table than it is to shove 4 bets from first position in a 4-handed table, I think, personally. Getting that extra information from knowing what your opponents are doing with their first card, whether they're checking or raising, is going to be so much better for you to decide whether you need to go ahead and go all in that spot, or if you can wait just that one more hand and try to go all in later. But as it is, he may just have the feeling that, like, this is the best hand he's going to get, and he's just going to take a shot with it. Yeah, he's just going to get away with it. Nice play. Vendettius with the queens this time, makes the raise. Royal Ace calls with the lurkers, should be fold. Alright, so Vendettius is suited again. You have queens hydras, which is really nice. The queens can heal the hydras. This is another situation. I would leave the queens in front. You want the queens and the hydras to be fighting roughly at the same time. So you're going to have the queens in the middle, and then the hydras are going to come around the outside edge and, like, DPS inward. Against the lurkers and the void rays. Obviously, we need to protect the hydras to deal with the void rays. The queens should be able to do it, but they're going to be too busy healing each other, so the DPS is going to drop a little bit. If we can make it so that the lurkers deal with the queens and then the hydras deal with the void rays, we're golden. Vendettius should probably be raising again here. I don't hate a shove. I also don't hate a little small bet like 150. Actually, now the more that I think about it, the more I think I like shoving. Put the pressure back on Royal Ace. You're probably not going to get called from it, but you need to let him know that you're willing to make that play. Now, here's the thought process. This is. I wish I could rewind without resetting the whole fucking thing. This is why you don't just make this small bet. Look at how small of a bet you made, 136. You're leaving a perfect 211 behind. That is basically like a little bit more than a min raise. Royal Ace's raise right here, even though he left like 6 behind or whatever, I think he just clicked a button. This is basically an all-in. You are now making Royal Ace is now making Vendettius make a decision for all of his chips instead of Vendettius making the aggressive decision to say, "Hey, we're playing for all the chips. What do you want to do?" Vendettius does not want to be on the defense here. Vendettius wants to be the one with the aggression going all in, trying to get the fold equity from Royal Ace. In this position, I think Vendettius still has to call. I think he's going to be okay here, but it's not a situation you really want to be put into. Like, if these lurkers get decent damage off, that's going to be a huge problem. And the Void Rays do have 1/1. So if they can target down some queens, that might be even more trouble. Lurker's not doing enough damage. Queens and Hydras are going to take this away, no problem. And that leaves Vendettius with 7 chips. Oh, I'm sorry, he won. Duh. Alright, Goldie should be going all in pretty much anything here, being in last position. If you have 2 bets, you have 18 queens, just do it. Should be an easy all in. I hate this raise. Goldie, why would you do that? Leaving yourself less than a bet left? There's no reason to do that. Oh, and now you just got countered. If you would have gone all in, Royal Ace might have folded. I know he likes the mines, though. Yeah, this is going to be sad. EMP's going off. Feedback going off. Mines getting their first shots in. No more storms, though. This might be enough. We might actually get a split pot here. I don't think there's enough mines to kill the queens, but I don't think there's enough queens to kill the mines. Yeah. Split pot. Alright. Royal Ace up front. 20 wild cards. I do like the check. I would honestly four-handed. I think a raise is fine, like a min raise. But the check is totally fine. Try to bait somebody into shoving, which we do get from Pokemon, shoving 4 Tempests. I don't like Tempest here. I think you could have afforded to wait one more hand. That does put you in first position, but 4 Tempest is not a shoving hand in this spot, I don't think. Goldie can't defend with the 15 Hydras. Vendettius definitely can't defend with 2 Hellbats. This is going to come down to Royal Ace and the 20 wild cards. He should call. Only taking like a third of his chip stack to call. If he rolls good, he's got this, no problem. And that's going to be that. Royal Ace should take this down easily. Especially with those couple of lurkers spawning for the Lings. It's going to be a lot of splash damage. And GG for Pokemon. So as we see Goldie talking about in here, it's Goldie and Pokemon, the blinds are getting excessively high. We're 84 right now. I'm pretty sure we're going to be at 100, leaving only 24 bets left in the game. As I said before, the shorter people's chip stacks get compared to the size of the blinds, the less agency you have, the less skill is going to be involved in the game. The more it's going to be about you just getting dealt the right cards at the right time. So that's why we need to pay as much attention as possible early on, get our reads on our opponent, try to take as many chips as we can from our opponent so that we do go into the short stack play with as much of an advantage as we can get. Royal Ace obviously looks great here. Vendettius is not too far behind. Goldie's in dire straits. Like, she's going to need a couple of triple ups to have a shot of coming back in this game. There were definitely a couple of hands that she could have maybe made some more money on, maybe stolen some antes that she didn't before. Those are situations that you have to kind of look back on your replays and review and be like, on this hand that I folded, did I have a play? Is there any situation where, like, given the information that I had on my opponents, on their betting patterns, on what cards they like to play, on the pot size, on my stack size, etc., 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 did I ever have a play that I missed? And this is where, like, the study part of poker comes into play. You have to look for these situations where you realize you made a mistake and look for any information to where you could have avoided that mistake that you didn't look at while you were at the table. "14 queens, three-handed, first position. I don't hate raising here. I definitely like calling. Or checking. She does make the raise all in. That's probably strong. Royal Ace, honestly, with his stack size, three-handed, those Marauders are not the worst play in the game. I would probably make that call some percentage of the time. Sad that he didn't make it this time. I think it would have been a good fight against the queens depending on what he drew second. But, I mean, it could have been played there. Vendettius this time with the Marauders. Again, still playable. I wouldn't raise them from first position, especially with under 10 blinds. I would check and see what my opponents do, but when Goldie inevitably raises, I would have to seriously consider a call. Okay, Vendettius does actually raise here. That's an interesting aggressive play. He's definitely got kind of like my feel for like aggressively playing three-handed. The Ghosts are a perfect draw here. They give you so much DPS, so much support, so much utility. Keep them behind the Marauders. You're going to shut down so many things that were a problem before. Goldie doesn't draw great, only the 8 Disruptors. They are going to do some damage to the bio, but hopefully we can shut down those Archons and go in on the Disruptors before losing too many units. I would not be surprised if this goes all in. No, actually, Goldie should not call. Well, I'm sorry. Bleh. Goldie should call. She's short. So it should go all in. Bleh. There go those Ghosts. Unfortunately, not as many EMPs as we were hoping for. The Disruptor shots definitely go down big time. Ouch. All right, 16 Ravagers. Goldie's back in it. Vendettius is up against the ropes. Goldie keeping pressure on Vendettius. Good play. Royal Ace folds. And now Goldie's trying to steal her way back up into like striking distance of Royal Ace. They're separated by like 1/5 of a bet now. So we're almost even. But again, look at this. Antes are up to 100. Vendettius has 3 bets. Goldie has just under 9 bets. Royal Ace just has just over 8 or 9 bets. This is a really tight game, and there's not a lot of room to bluff here. You're going to have to pick advantageous spots based on your position and your timing, and just start taking shots at the pot and hope that it works out. The bigger these antes get, the less time you have to just sit and wait for like a playable hand. Royal Ace should all in if it checks to him. Not all in, I'm sorry. Bet 300. Yeah, there it is. Forgot he's not the short one. Should go fold, fold. Yep. Again, Vendettius, decent hand. Yeah, Goldie should fold. Actually, Goldie should call here. Not a great pickup for Goldie. You definitely want some versatility. All we can do is hit ground. Vendettius, super strong hand. Already all in. Goldie's about to get the bad news. Oh, those Disruptors are going to run away in time. Nice. Going to get a split pot. Very nice. All right. Vendettius is still basically in shoving range. Goldie and Royal Ace a little bit higher. Goldie only at about 8 bets. Goldie does have the 9 Tempest up against Vendettius' 20 wild cards. Vendettius needs to go ahead and get all in. You have 350 left. There's 300 in the pot. You're barely overbetting the pot. Just go ahead and shove it all in. Royal Ace is going to get out of the way. Goldie might decide to call. We've talked about the Tempest 1v1 before. I don't like it. She might. I don't think it's a good call. Let's see what happens. There's the all-in. And she calls, yep. 16 Banshees, not a bad pickup. Definitely going to help with some DPS on the ground. Clearing out those Cyclones, definitely going to help. Looks like these Banshees and Tempest are actually going to take it down. All right. This is a huge hand for Goldie. You have the chip advantage. You have Royal Ace covered. You have battle cruisers. Even though it's only 3, you have battle cruisers. Your head's up. You're good. Very strong. Royal Ace has a pretty strong hand. 8 Broodlords. If you have ground, those Broodlords are strong. Obviously, we don't have ground with Goldie. Now the question is, how do you play this? Royal Ace has been kind of aggressive, kind of passive, like switching back and forth. We are first to act with the battle cruisers. I like checking here, as you should with most of your heads-up hands, out of position. Position is huge in heads-up, like humongous. Being able to see what your opponent does before you do is just so much information that's going to give you so much of an edge in your hands, especially when you have a profitable hand. It's going to give you a better idea of how much to bet. I like checking here about 65% of the time. I would only raise about a third of the time. You do have to raise sometimes out of position, especially with your strong hands, to keep your opponents on your toes. They need to understand that, like, you're not going to check 100% of your hands out of position, because if you check 100% of your hands out of position, that means that they can just play perfectly against you and not bet when they don't have anything strong. So mix it up every once in a while, but most of the time here I do like a check. She does min bet. Royal Ace calls. Royal Ace, ooh. Royal Ace picks up a great hand, but Goldie picks up the counter with 22 ghosts. The question is going to be, all right, there's always this kind of debate between whether Ravens go in front or Ravens go in back. When you have Ravens in front, let me try this. Ravens, whether they start in the back or in the front, are going to move the same distance. So like here, if they spawn here, they're going to move to about here, and they're going to clump up here, and then they're going to spread out and start putting down turrets. If the Ravens spawn back here, they're going to move to about here, clump up, and then spread around and start going off for turrets. So, if you put them in front, and somebody else puts their ghosts in front, these Ravens are going to clump up right here in the middle with their ghosts coming up first. They're going to clump up and get everything hit by the EMP. If you put the Ravens in the back with the ghosts up front, the Ravens are going to come to here, clump up. The ghosts are only going to be up to about here. These guys already start splitting the Ravens, and the ghosts are going to have to fire many more EMPs and are probably going to miss some of the Ravens. That does mean the Ravens are going to get their turrets down later. That means something like battlecruisers, carriers, Archons, stuff like that. They're going to get more shots in before the interference matrix shuts them down. But it's something to think about with your Raven placement. I really want to see Goldie raise again here. Maybe not that much. Oh, wow. This should be the game. Watch how they clump. All right. And that's all of them gone. And that's GG, I think. Goldie takes down the hand, or the game, rather. All right, y'all. So that's my first analysis series of a battle poker game from Final Table Friday. Ideally, I hit the wrong button, I think. Whatever. Ideally, what I really want to start doing is sitting in with one person that gives me a replay of theirs, that they had some trouble hands or they just want feedback to go over, think about it. And I want to do this live on stream. We'll upload it to YouTube, of course. But I want to be able to sit down with somebody and pick apart, like, just looking through their hand history, not like what we had over here, being able to see everybody's hands. I'm on the wrong screen over here. I still don't think you can see it because StarCraft is frozen. But yeah, like, dang, I was trying to crash. I want to be able to sit down with somebody and just look at their hands from their point of view and talk through their decision making and what they're doing and why and what we could have done better with the information that we had. So if you're interested in that, hit me up on Discord. The link for Discord is below in the description. Join us, send me a message, and send me a replay, and we'll figure out a time we can do it together. We'll get it uploaded, and we will talk about your game, see if we can help people get better. But yeah, I hope to do these at least like once a week, even if I'm not doing submitted games, like pick a Final Table Friday game or a league game or something like that, and just go through it, pick it apart, and give my thoughts and analyses on it. So, cool to y'all. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll get some more of these soon. See you later.